Hello and welcome to Witch Talk. My name is Della and I am the author of the Book of Spells, The Magic of Witchcraft. Today we're going to talk about the 8 pagan holidays known as Sabbats. Sabbat comes from the word Sabbath, which means to rest and to pray and to remember what is holy and what is sacred. I am going to bless our altar here today by using sacred smoke. And the reason I'm using that is because we are in March and our holiday right now that we are celebrating is Ostara, or the Spring Equinox. And Ostara comes from the word star. And so this morning star rises in the east, and we welcome in the direction of the east. We welcome in the element of air and flight and smoke and ideas and inspiration. And we welcome in the direction of the south and fire and drive and passion to give those ideas some fuel to move forward. And then we move to the direction of the west and we welcome in the element of water and that womb or the cauldron or the chalice that holds our emotions and our feelings that also bring forth these ideas. And then we come to the manifestation, to the direction of the north and the element of earth. And this is where all of the things that we desire, that we've held true, and that we've taken through the 4 elements, finally rest in earth, where we manifest and we bring these things forward. So we have 8 pagan holidays that are separated by 6 weeks. There are 4 major and 4 minor holidays. The major holidays coincide with planting and harvesting because we are a paganism and witchcraft and Wicca. We are witches, however you call yourself. We celebrate the earth and we look to our Mother Earth for guidance so that at each turn of the wheel, at each turn of the mandala of nature, of these 8 holidays, that we have an opportunity for personal growth and for development moving forward. So we're going to begin with Ostara because that is now. The Ostara is a spring equinox. So the minor holidays are the equinoxes and the solstices. Equinox means equinox, equal night, but equal night and equal day. And these happen, the equinoxes and the solstices, solstice, sol, sun, stis, stand still. So what that means is when the sun reaches its highest point, it hovers there for about 3 days, and at a very specific time, there is the longest night and the longest day. The longest night, of course, is winter solstice, and the longest day is summer solstice. So it hovers there for about 3 days and then comes back the other way. The sun will come back the other direction and we'll start to get longer days or longer nights depending on what part of the year you are and depending on what part of the world you're in as well, whether you're in the southern or the northern hemisphere. So moving back to Ostara, which is where we are, the spring equinox, equal night, equal day. So Ostara is a holiday that represents new growth and birth and is symbolized with flowers and seeds and eggs and the rabbit and anything that has to do with growth and giving birth and abundance. And then that happens about March 19th through the 22nd. This year, Ostara, Spring Equinox, happened at 8:50 Pacific Standard Time, Pacific Daylight Time, and on March 19th. And so then 6 weeks later, we have Beltane, also known as May Day, and that begins on the sunset of April 30th and ends at the sunset of May 1st. And what you often see as a symbol of this time is the maypole. And the maypole is a representation of the union of the goddess and the god, of the divine female and the divine masculine. And so the divine female are the ribbons. The divine female is the earth. The divine masculine is the phallic symbol of the pole or the vegetation of the seed. So when you wrap the ribbons around the pole or you wrap the earth around the seed, that's when you get an abundant crop. That's when you get a child. And that's what May Day is all about, is this fertility time and this time of celebration and a little bit of lusty, a little bit of a party time. I have to say, it's my favorite holiday of them all. 6 weeks later, we have midsummer, also known as the summer solstice. At the summer solstice, we often have the representation of the sun, and it is the brightest and the biggest that you can be. And that happens June 19th through the 22nd. 6 weeks later, we move into Lammas, also known as Lunasa, Loaf Mass. And this is the harvest of corn and of grains and all the things that make bread. So this is also known as the Festival of Bread. And this is a time to recognize our blessings and to be grateful for these things. And we move 6 weeks later, we come to Mabon, also known as the Fall Equinox or Autumn Equinox. And this is the witches' Thanksgiving, because this is the harvest where we bring it all in. This is around September 19th through the 22nd. This is when you hear of the harvest moon. The harvest moon is called that way because it was this huge moon, and it allowed people to harvest and bring in more crops later into the evening. This is a time to be with friends and to give thanks and to be grateful. 6 weeks later, we move into Samhain, summer's end, Halloween. This is a time when the veil between the worlds is very thin. This is the time that you look at your shadow self. This is the time that you recognize and remember your ancestors and those who have crossed to the other side. It's also a time to maybe believe and can take a look at the parallel universes, maybe the cognizant awareness of a tree, or the animism that life itself could be speaking to you through that storm, through that wind, even through a burst of sun through the clouds. Take a look at where the earth and where nature itself is speaking to you at Halloween, at Samhain time, which happens on October 31st. 6 weeks later, we have Yule, which means wheel. It is winter solstice. This is the time of year when we are giving and receiving. This is the time of year when our reciprocity is the wheel itself. And even though this is the longest night of the year, it's also that time when we begin to recognize that the wheel will continue. The wheel of nature, this wheel that holds all our sacred holidays. This is a depiction that my friend Jen Della made this to help us understand all the symbols that we can find in these holidays. 6 weeks after Yule, we come to Imbolg. And Imbolg is also another name for that is Candlemas, Candle Mass. It is a celebration of the first light. It is also now known as Groundhog's Day because many of our pagan holidays have been usurped by the modern traditions and celebrations and have new names and maybe some new concepts. But Easter, which comes from Ostara, the goddess of Germany, of new beginnings and birth, Easter happens on the first Sunday after the full moon, after the spring equinox. So still in our roots, we're all still connected to the country, which is what pagan means after all. So right now we're going to celebrate Ostara. And one of the things that I like to do in celebrating Ostara is having the fresh herbs, because these herbs that I brought with me are spearmint and nettles, and these are my two favorite combinations to put together. I have some loose leaf tea here from my cousin Elise, who has a farm in Southern Oregon called Ostara Farm. And right here in front of our tea is my high priestess, Connie DeMasters. And in her last year of life, Connie really wanted us to understand the pagan holidays on a deeper level. So she chose colors that are representations of each of the holidays. So we have pastel colors for the Ostara, we have some lusty colors for Beltane, we have the bright orange and the gold colors for the summer solstice, and then we have colors that represent bread and different grains for Lunasa. We have the warm colors that represent the abundance that is coming from our Mabon or our autumn equinox, and then of course orange and black for Samhain, green and red for Yule, and these bright colors which represent Candlemas. So, and how we did this knot work with these, you had these 3 different ribbons, and as we braided them, we thought of something that we would like to manifest. And as we came to that, we would tie a knot, and at that knot we would say, "By my will, so mote it be." And then we would pray and braid together those ribbons, and we would say, "By my will, so mote it be." 3 different times, 3 different knots to seal our prayer and to seal it with these colors that coincided with the holidays and the holy days, the Sabbats themselves. So we're in Ostara. We have our herbal tea, something that is so important to do right now to nourish yourself. Remember in these hard times how important it is to nourish yourself. Have a cup of tea. Have a cup of it, everybody. It's delicious. It's warming. Mm. I love my nettles and spearmint. It's really my favorite combination. And it also gives us the time at this in spring to recognize all the growth that is happening. The rivers are still flowing. There's the daffodils are coming up. All this nature is still around us and is still burgeoning with a new life. And we just need to fuel with it. We need to add our intention into that. Seeds, nuts, eggs, anything that represents new growth is really important to recognize right now. And what are you giving birth to? That's a question to ask yourself around Ostara time. And the other thing that Ostara is known for is its frivolity and its playfulness. And so we have some cascarones. This is what we make in our family. We crack open the top of the egg and we sprinkle in some confetti. But traditionally it was perfumed dusting powder. I'm recommending that you put in some seeds. What about some wildflower seeds that you put into here? You dab them in there and then you cover it with a colorful piece of tissue paper and glue the edges around. And then the next time you can gather with your family, have a collection of these cascarones. And then you run around and you crack them over each other's head. And it is so much fun. And it brings out the childlike in you. Because spring is really about honoring our sacred child. That sacred, innocent child within. And right now, it's a really good thing for us all to remember. So I just want to wish you a happy spring equinox. Blessed be.